So let's go ahead and take a seat. If you've got blocks, please get your blocks ready. If you don't have blocks, you can use soup cans or toilet paper rolls or or pillows. All right, use what you have. We've had to be inventive lots of times. So you're going to take a seat in easy seat, Sukhasana. So easy seat might not be as easy for a lot of people. I'm going to sit on a block. I like to have my hips elevated. You can sit on a pillow or a blanket, whatever you like, and just cross your legs. Easy seat. So along with the easy seat, we want to have easy face. So go ahead and establish your base so you can feel your legs, your feet, your hips on whatever you're seated on. And then set your hands. I'm going to set my hands on my thighs, palms down for more of a grounding feeling. Just take an inhale as you roll your shoulders up, and as you exhale, just let them slide down and relax. And just close your eyes. Just take a few breaths. Just settle into how you feel this morning. Let your awareness start to connect with the breath coming in and the breath going out. Allow your hips, your legs, and your feet to become heavy and just settle into whatever you're seated on. From your skin, just soften your skin. Soften the parts of you that might tend to hold on to stress. For me, I always invite more relaxation and easiness into my neck. Into my neck. We have a little visitor this morning. This is Dietz, the magical dog, if you're watching. So Dietz will probably she'll just find a place to lie down and maybe breathe with us. Yes. This is a way to relax if you have a pet that joins you on your mat. Good morning, Dietz. And perhaps setting an intention of just welcoming in whatever change happens for you in your practice, whatever change happens for you today or in the next breath. Take 3 more breaths, please. Good. And then after your 3rd breath, you can gently open your eyes. Good. I'm going to go ahead and take a deep inhale. Lift the arms all the way up. Interlace your hands. Spin the palms to the ceiling. As you exhale, go ahead, press your hands forward and round the spine, pulling the navel to the spine. As you inhale, go ahead, lift up. Reach up from the side waist all the way up. As you exhale, round and pull the navel to the spine, so you're rounding your spine. As you inhale, you're lifting and lengthening the spine. And as you exhale, you're just rounding. Do that 3 more rounds, please. Inhale for expansion, lift and length. Exhale, just feel the back stretch. 2 more times, inhaling, lifting, exhaling, rounding. 1 more time, inhaling, lifting, exhaling, rounding. Good. Go ahead. Sweep the arms all the way up again. Go ahead, drop your right hand down to the mat. Take a stretch over to your left. Inhale, come up. Drop the left hand. Take a stretch over to your left. Keep moving like that. Inhale, lengthen up from tailbone to crown of head, and then feel the side body start to wake up as you exhale and move side to side. Follow the pace of your breath and listen to how your body responds. It's very wise. You might feel stiffer today, you might feel looser today. Just go with it, go with the flow. Let's go one more time, each side, please. Good. And then go ahead, bring the hands on the knees and just roll around, just rolling around. So I exhale on the way forward, I inhale on the way back. But if you find a different pattern of breathing, you can honor that and breathe with a pattern that feels good for you. Yeah, just go and get really deep into it. Go one more circle in that direction and then reverse your direction. Just go ahead. And if you want to add the head, right, and let the head be heavy, you can go ahead and do that, right? Just letting yourself find your own range of motion. One more. Good. And then bring your hands behind you, anchor your fingertips down, and lift the heart up. So moving the back of the spine towards the front body and feeling the collarbones broaden and your shoulders support the upper spine. And just hold here to open the front body. For one more breath, feel the collarbones broaden and feel your shoulder blades move towards the spine and then lift the upper spine and lifting the heart. Good. And then release. Good. We're going to take away the block if you're on the block and come right to downward facing dog. So downward facing dog, hands nice and wide, maximum distance between thumb and pinkies, and rooting down into all 10 fingers, curling the toes, and then lifting the hips high into this inversion, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And while you're here, you can pedal the feet out, you can move your hips side to side, you can relax your head. Again, we're listening to your body, right? Listen to what it needs or what it doesn't need. Take a few breaths. Again, being patient, because it's the beginning of practice, so let your body wake up as it needs to wake up. Take 2 more breaths, please. Maybe in movement, maybe in stillness. Good. And after your second exhale, go ahead, walk your feet to your hands, please, and establish, it's called Ragdoll or Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Please soften the knees and allow the back of the legs to wake up gradually. Right, so when we come in a forward fold, we want to tilt the pelvis and bend from the pelvis. So instead of bending from the low back, so we're just hinging right here at your hip creases, hinging, so I keep the knees nice and bent. Spread your toes, relax your head, and then hands grab opposite elbows. As you breathe here, feel your sitting bones start to lift away from the heels, and maybe you feel a deeper crease in the hip crease there. But please keep your knees soft here. Take a couple breaths. Just feel the strength of your leg muscles pulling into your midline. That's pulling into your center. So you can allow the upper body just to drape over the legs and release any tension from the spine. Take one more breath, please. And then from there, drawing the abdominals in, you're going to rise all the way up, palms meet over your head, and then draw your hands to your heart into mountain pose, Tadasana. From there, go ahead, just reach your hands out, straight out, palms face each other. It's like you're going to reach for something and feel how that draws the shoulders off the back. Now, You've grabbed whatever you need to grab and you're pulling it into yourself. So your upper arm bones move back, your shoulder blades move onto the spine. From there, go ahead, bend your knees and lift your arms any amount. Right? So if you're tighter in the shoulders, you might just stay right here. But it's like you have grabbed what you need, you're pulling the arms back, you're sitting the hips back. That's it. Utkatasana, chair pose. As you inhale, you're going to go rise right up to Tadasana. Inhale to lift to Tadasana. Exhale, back to chair. Keep moving dynamically, just like that. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, feel like you're pulling what you need right to your heart. Do that 3 more times. Inhaling, exhaling. You don't have to sit deep. Remember, just honor your knees, honor your range of motion. 2 more times. This time, as you exhale, interlace your hands behind you. Start to hinge at the hips. Reach the knuckles behind you and fold forward. Good. So again, just pausing here for a couple breaths. Feeling your sitting bones. Those are the 2 bony points that come out of your pelvis. Lifting away from your heels as your heels dig. Knees are soft. Release the hands down. Step the feet back to downward facing dog. So that landmark of your sitting bones rise as the heels descend. So we're encouraging length of spine here. Length of spine. Good. Come forward into a high push-up position. From here, you want to feel like your low back stays long. And then exhale, lifting the sitting bones high as the heels descend. Again, inhaling, coming forward into your high push-up position. Imagine your low back is getting longer. And then exhale, lift your hips high. Down dog. 2 more rounds, just like that. The inhale brings you forward. Think of your tailbone lengthening so the low back gets long and the low belly pulls in. Exhale back up to down dog, and 1 more round following your own breath, please. Forward and back. Good. From here, let's take a child's pose. So knees come down to the edges of your mat. You join your big toes together. Let's walk the fingers forward and anchor your fingertips like you have tennis balls underneath them. And from there, slide the hips back. So we're getting a long stretch. This is a more active child's pose. You can rest your forehead on a block or the ground. And just keep grounding those fingertips and breathing length into the side body, right through the armpits, right through the arms. Feel that stretch. Good. Take another deep inhale. As you exhale now, release your fingers, release your arms, and just soften the arms. No action in the arms. And feel the breath move into the back. So let your back breathe here. Inviting the breath into the back. 1 more time here. And then go ahead, bring yourself back up. Let's come to downward facing dog again, please. Walk your feet to your hands. Keep your hands on your shins and lengthen forward. Again, sitting bones move back so the low back can lengthen. Exhale, fold. 2 more rounds, halfway lift. Lengthen the heart forward as you inhale. Exhale, fold over your legs. Feel your sitting bones rise away from your heels as your heels ground. 1 more time. Good. From the fold, go ahead, rise all the way up again. Let's take a stretch over to the right. Reaching the right hand down, letting the left side get a stretch. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, other side. Reach it up, good. Inhale, both arms up. As you exhale this time, bring your hands to your low back. Fingertips can face your heart or face your heels. And again, broaden your collarbones. Lengthen the spine down towards the heels and feel the collarbones broaden. Feel your shoulder blades move onto the upper spine. And just, it's like your hands can invite the flesh of your tush to move down as you take a back bend of any amount, right? I always think of the sides of my neck moving back instead of my chin lifting. So my neck is a bit sensitive, so I think of sides of the throat, back of the ears moving back. So I'm not just letting the head hang. That doesn't feel good for my neck. Good. Then with the strength of the low abdomen, come back up, lift your arms all the way up. As you exhale, bring your hands to your hips. So here we are, hands to your hips. Ground down into your left foot, from the left hip into the left foot, and then you're going to place your right ankle right above your left knee. I'd like you to take your left hand and hug the left outer hip in. So hug the left outer hip in and encourage the outer right hip to roll back and down. You can even put your thumb, you can make a little hammock with your hand here and put your thumb to the inside, crease it down, outer hip pulls in. So for me, I'm feeling a pretty nice stretch on my outer right hip. So you can stay right here, encouraging outer left hip in, flexing right toes. If you want to go for a balance, you can pray for it. You can reach for it. Again, pulling the arm bones back like we did in the beginning. You can have them out to the side. You can have them up, right? So we've got a hip opening balance. Breathe deep. Outer left hip pulls in, outer right hip rolls down. One more breath, everybody. And rise back up. Release the foot. Inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, hinging at the hips. Hinge at the hips as you fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, step back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, forward to high plank. Long, low back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Again, inhale to plank. Long, low back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk your feet to your hands again. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, hinging at the hips, rise all the way up. Take a stretch over to the right again, reaching right hand down to right ankle. Inhale up. Exhale, other side. Good, inhale up. Again, exhale, bring your hands back. Again, fingers can go towards the heart or down towards the heels. Spread the collarbones, open the chest, and encourage your pelvis to move forward a little bit. Right, hips will move forward as you bring your upper arm bones. It's as if you're trying to touch your elbows. And you can do a back bend at any amount. Again, if the neck is okay, move the sides of the neck back. Tips back of the ears move back. Back of the skull moves back. So we're not initiating the chin and just squeezing the upper neck, the cervical vertebrae. Good. Use the strength of your abdominals to come back up. Exhale. Let's bring the hands to Tadasana, heart center. And prepare for second side. So this time you will be on your right foot, toes face forward. Bend your knees. That's it. And then place the left ankle on top of the right thigh. Take your right hand and hug that outer right hip in. Hug it in. That's it. And then go ahead, take your hand, open it up, and then place it right in the hip crease and invite that outer left hip to roll down as the outer right hip pulls in. So feel like you're moving your right leg in towards your midline, in towards the center, right? And then that outer right hip is rolling down. I'm sorry, left hip. And then left foot. So again, hands can stay right there, encouraging that action of outer hip pulling in, right? You can set your arms however you like. Deep in the hip crease. Deep in the hip crease if you're able. Breathe deeply, right? Embracing the change that's happening right now in your hips or in the standing foot or in the leg that's being challenged to hold the balance, right? The mind that's being challenged, the breath. That's it. Deep in the hip crease. 2 more breaths. And then go ahead, release that leg. Sweet. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold over your legs again. Your sitting bones rise away from the grounding of your heels. Halfway lift. Exhale, hands down. Step back, downward facing dog. Remember, you can come to child's pose at any point. That's when the knees are down, the toes are facing, and your hips are relaxed. So we're going to take 4 or 5 breaths right here. You can stay in down dog, or child's pose, or a combination of both. Good. Wherever you are, come to downward facing dog, please. And then walk your feet to your hands. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, fold. Good. Rise up to standing. And again, circle your hands down and around to your heart center. Samastitihi means equal standing ground. Means we are joining right and left side of the body, right and left side of the brain, masculine, feminine, sun and moon, everything joins together. Good. So we're going to balance on the left foot, and you're going to go ahead. So as I just come onto the ball of my right foot, my outer left hip wants to kind of stick out. We want to pull it in. So we want to gather that energy into the midline, and then go ahead, lift your right knee up. You can either interlace your hands underneath your thigh, or you can interlace and grab the top of your knee. Remember when we had our arms pulling back in? That's the action you want, so the chest is wide open. So either way. Good. Outer left hip pulls in. Good. Take the left hand to the outer hip, squeeze it into the midline, and just guide the right knee to the right. Exhale, come back. Inhale, guide the right knee to the right. Exhale, come back. One more time, guide the right knee to the right. Outer left hip pulls into your midline. You can stay right here. You can balance with arms out, pray. You can arrange your arms in any type of formation. Outer hip pulls in. Do you feel your outer right hip holding that leg? Breathe deep. If you need to drop the foot, drop it and come back in. Good. Bring the hand to the knee or underneath it. Guide it back to the center. Bring your hands to your hips and start to extend that right leg straight behind you. Straight. Like you are trying to touch something behind you with that right foot. Outer left hip pulls in deeply. So that back leg is as straight as it's ever been. So press through the heel or point through the toes, whichever gives you a straighter leg. You got it. Don't worry if you're wobbling, that's okay. This is what the practice is about. We're working on balance. Very slowly bring your hands down to meet your blocks or the ground. Drop the crown of the head and extend that right leg up as high as you can. Keep extending that right leg. Imagine someone's got your right ankle and they're just holding that ankle and lifting you up. Good. Very slowly. From there, we're going to come back up. So from there, outer left hip pulls in. We're coming back up to where we began. Bringing the right knee all the way up. Outer left hip pulls in. And then releasing right foot to meet left. Whew, take a breath. You can breathe now. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, fold over your leg, hinging deep at the hips. Knees bent as much as you need. Halfway lift. Good. Hands come down, step back, downward facing dog. Sitting bones rise as heels descend. Come forward into your high plank. Low back gets long here, so pull the low belly in to support that. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 more rounds. Breathing forward to plank. Exhaling to down dog. 1 more time. Forward to plank. back up, downward facing dog. Good, walk your feet to your hands. Once you arrive there, lengthen the spine forward, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips. And then inhale, rise all the way up. Palms meet overhead, circle your hands down and around, Samastitihi. The reason the hinge at the hips when we're forward folding, if we round with the low back, we're creating a lot of tension in the lumbar spine. And that's what we don't want to create. We don't want to create overstretching, right? When we forward fold, we are focusing on the back of the legs getting the stretch. The front of the legs are contracted so the back of the legs can stretch. So the hinge at the hips is very important to protect your low back. Okay, second side. Second chances. Here we go. So go ahead, come on to the ball of the left foot. Again, hug that outer right hip in, and you can decide you can grab underneath or in front. If you're hunching your shoulders, if the shoulders are sliding off the back, encourage the collarbones to broaden just as we did in the beginning. Right? Keep us establishing where is your center. I always think there's a bullseye right on around my navel, and I'm pulling everything into the center, into the midline. And from there, everything up and down. Good. Okay. Pulling outer right hip in. As you inhale, guide the left knee to the left. Exhale, come back. That's it. One side might be more challenging than the other, or they might be equal. This one's a little bit more challenging for me. Good. Come back. Good. Broaden your collarbones. Both hands on the hips. Good. And then very slowly go ahead and extend the left leg all the way back. Pulling that outer right hip in, right? Rolling the inner left thigh up. It's called internal rotation. Good. Hands can stay on the hips. Maybe you want to move your arms out. Breathe. So this is a variation of Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Right? And then very slowly pulling your abdominals in, hinging at that right hip, bringing your hands down to, they call this standing splits. And then you can breathe here. Keep extending that leg like someone's got your ankle and they're just helping you get more extension. Okay, here comes the fun part now, coming back up to where we were. So outer right hip pulls in, right? Pull it in. Wobbling means you get a chance to come back to center. Good, pulling it in. Everything pulls in. If you think yoga teachers don't fall, that's how you learn. So the falling is actually the gift. So you can keep practicing pulling in. Good. And then everybody release the left foot down. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips. Sitting bones rising as the heels are grounding, heels and feet grounding. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, step back to your downward facing dog. Here in downward facing dog, can you feel your low back get longer? So what are the movements to get the long back or the low back to feel longer? Well, if you're rounding here, that's not getting longer. If you feel your sitting bones and your tailbone move away from your hands, and then you draw the low belly in towards the spine, see if that encourages a long, low back. Good. Maintaining that long, low back, come forward into your high push-up position. And again, your high push-up position can be, I'm going to show you, this is not a long, low back. This is a collapsed pelvis. This is a long, low back. I hope you can see that. I'm not letting my pelvis tilt forward, and I'm not letting it roll under. I'm lengthening it long from tailbone to crown. And if you need to bring your knees down, you can still feel that long low back. It's not a collapse. It's not sticking out either. Here we go. Move, come onto the tippy toes. Pull your elbows back, pull your heart forward, long low back as you lower all the way to the earth. Uncurl your toes. Let's bring the fingertips out this time. Out like a little, I call this the lunar landing. And then go ahead, extend your legs long, ground into the fingertips, and then as you lift up, look over your right shoulder as you inhale. Exhale back to the center. Inhale, look over the left shoulder. Good. Exhale, come back. Lower down. Bring your hands in. Pull your elbows in. Broaden your collarbones. Long, low back as you press up to knees. And then lift the knees to plank. Downward facing dog. Come down to child's pose. Knees wide. Big toes touch. Rest. Breathe into the low back. Long low back. The entire back gets to breathe here. Okay. Take 2 more breaths, please. Good. After your 2 breaths, lift your torso up, bring your knees to parallel, and come back into your downward facing dog. Feeling your sitting bones rise away from the grounding of the heels. The heels move down and back. Good. Long, low back here. You're going to step your right foot forward, please. You can have your blocks ready. I use blocks all the time. Stepping your right foot forward into a lunge. We're going to take the right foot to the right. If your left knee is sensitive, you can always pad the back left knee. I've got a double mat here, which feels good for me. Right, so we're coming forward. Notice how I've got a nice straight line from my knee to my ankle. If you've got a little bit more extension, or you want a little bit more extension through that left hip flexor, you can lift the knee up, scooch it back, but do not lose the safety of the front knee over the front ankle. Move your right foot to the right and bring your blocks or your hands to the inside of your right foot. Pull your upper arm bones back, right? Upper arm bones right here, collarbones broaden, and then start to come forward. I'm going to come down to my forearms on the blocks. Good. I'm going to hug my inner right thigh. Draw the inner right thigh in towards the inner left thigh. So you're moving your right leg in to the left. That's your front leg. What's happening with the back leg here? I've uncurled my toes. So the top of my foot presses down. And it's as if I'm trying to drag my left leg forward and my right heel back. So that can encourage my side waist to lengthen. It's called lizard pose. Good. Some of you might have the flexibility to come down onto the mat, but I'm having a beautiful stretch without struggling to get my forearms down. So I have a nice long stretch through the front of my left hip flexor. It's the front of my left hip. And I'm feeling my outer right hip do some hugging in and some squeezing, right? Breathe here. Good. From there, you're going to take your right foot and invite your right heel to come towards the front of the left hip, okay? So invite the right heel to become front of the left hip, okay? Nothing more. You can have hands on blocks here or on the ground. Good. So you might be able to extend the back leg quite a bit. My shin, front shin, is on a deep angle here. I'm inviting my right hip crease to move back and that right hip to move underneath towards the inner left thigh. Okay, so we're moving towards a pigeon position. So my right hip crease keeps moving back, my outer right hip keeps moving back and down. It is not touching the ground, but I have support on with my hands. So I don't want you to just surrender all your weight onto your pelvis. I want you to stay on your fingertips. Good. Drag that left leg into the center. It's like you're trying to bring your thigh bone, left thigh bone, into the pelvis as you deepen the right hip crease. I hope you're feeling as deep of a stretch as I am. But if not, if you're not feeling what you think you should be feeling, maybe you're feeling some other part of your anatomy working, and that's perfectly okay. Let whatever's happening to your body inform you. Good. Now sit onto your right hip. Bring the left leg around onto the ground. Interlace. Draw your torso towards your front thigh. Sit tall, nothing else. See if you can take your left hip crease, and you can even self-assist yourself, pressing the left hip down to encourage that left sitting bone onto the ground. So there's a nice stretch here in the outer left hip, right? So even pressing down with the right thigh, the right foot, the right shin, and inviting the left hip crease to get deeper and stretching out that outer left hip. One more breath. Exhale, release. Good. Unwind your legs. Go ahead, come back into your downward facing dog, please. Again, inviting the long low back. Right? Always low belly is drawing in, right? Gravity wants to pull everything down, so we are using the front body muscles to draw away from gravity to support the back spine. Good. Let's step our left foot forward now. Second side, left foot forward. Remember, just honoring right and left side. I use blocks here. So again, if you have a sensitive knee, pad the back knee. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And then take the left foot out to the left. Your toes will still face forward. You can bring your blocks or your fingertips in to the inside. Curl the back toes if you're able. Maybe you've already reached your maximum stretch for the front of the right hip flexor. If you have a little bit more, right, you never want to go to the point of pain. They call it your edge. It's the point where you feel like, I'm going to get something really good out of this without being in pain. You know, your body knows for sure it will back off if you've gone too far. Right, so your left foot moves to the left. And then upper arm bones move back. You can stay right here. I'm getting completely enough right here. So I'm drawing my back leg forward. It's like it's pulling into my pelvis. I'm rooting from the left knee down into the left heel, and I'm drawing that action back. So it's like you're pulling both leg bones, upper leg bones, your femur bones, thigh bones into the pelvis. I feel a lot of action on my inner right thigh. That's the extended leg. But again, you just notice where you're feeling the action. So not just hanging out here. We are actively working. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to sweat. That's it. Just breathe here, right? So every breath there's change happening. You're evolving muscularly, energetically. Hopefully the mind is learning to concentrate and focus. And the breath informs. The breath informs. So bring awareness to breath, all of these things that are happening. From there, you're going to move your left heel towards the front of your right hip crease, okay? So this is a deep angle here. And again, that back leg, you can curl the toes under, lengthen it back. I have a sensitive left knee, so I'm going to stay very elevated here. And I'm pressing down vigorously with my top foot and shin. Good. I'm inviting the outer left hip crease to move back. I'm inviting my right leg to pull in. Whew. All right. So we're not just letting the pelvis completely fall to the ground. We're actively drawing the legs in. So outer left hip crease moves back, outer left hip back and down and in towards your inner right thigh. Back leg pulls in. This is actively using your inner leg muscles. Leg muscles pull in to support the spine. Take a few more breaths here. Keep pulling. You know, sometimes the body goes, oh, I'll just kind of back out of it. Pull those leg bones in and get strong. Good. So we need to balance out the strength with the flexibility. Go ahead, roll onto your left hip. Swing your back leg around. Set it down. Invite the right sitting bone to descend towards the mat. It might not touch the mat. You just invite it to. Interlace hands. If your foot doesn't cross over, just bring it forward. You can still get the same actions here. You can self-assist by inviting the right hip down. That's it. And grounding through the left thigh, the left shin, and the left foot. Tall spine. This foot grounds too, as this hip grounds. 2 more breaths, please. Beautiful. Release. Extend both legs out to the front. So Dandasana, staff pose. It's one of my favorite poses. It's also very challenging. So here again, long low back. It's so easy to slump, right? And the pelvis rolls under, right? This is just the worst way and the worst thing we could do for our low back. So even if you need to assist with your hands and lift out, right? We're deepening that hip crease, lifting up. Pull your toes back towards your heart. There's softness in the knees. The heels are grounding. The leg bones are pulling back. Same action. And then arms can lift. Breathe here. All right. Feel like the low back is lengthening up as the sitting bones are grounding. The heels are grounding. The leg bones are pulling in. Dandasana, staff pose. This is an extended staff pose. Hands can be here, right? Depending on the length of your arms, right? So body proportions mean a lot in yoga. For some of us, you might not get the heels of your hands down. For some of you, if you have longer arms or a longer torso, so it's all proportion. Don't worry about what it looks like. What it feels like is a lot of work to keep the spine lifted. Beautiful. From there, you're going to bring your feet together. Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose, right? So what happens here, sometimes when we draw the heels in, this is what happens. We lose the length of the spine. So you may not be able to pull your heels in as close as you like. If you pull your heels in and you're starting to round, then that's a sign to bring your heels farther away. We want to maintain that lift. Press the soles of your feet together and imagine your knees moving apart from each other. And again, you're hinging at the hips as you come forward. So we're not rounding. We're not allowing the shoulders to come off the back. We're again, like we did in the beginning, pulling the shoulders, drawing the shoulders into the back, and then lengthening forward. Not rounding in the lumbar spine, but lifting and lengthening, pulling the low abdominals in. Press the soles of your feet together. Invite the outer hips to roll back and down and the knees to spread apart. So for me, I feel lots of action in the hips, and of course there's a beautiful stretch in the groin. But I'm not rounding. I'm broadening my collarbones. You can use leverage with your hands against your ankles this way or this way. Ooh, that feels good. Take a few more breaths. Outer hips rolling down, knees moving apart from each other, not down, apart. The hips are what's creating this opening, the strength of the hips. So this stretches inner groin and strengthens outer hips, the medius and the maximus. More of the medius. Good. Come up. And let's extend the legs all the way out to Upavista Konasana. Very wide-legged forward fold. Here, once again, I'll show you from the side. If your legs are open too much and you're slumping, use your hands, bring your legs in a little closer, right? You figure out what's best for your body to keep the integrity of the pose. Trusting that maybe for years and years you've done it super wide, but maybe you've collapsed in the pelvis. So maybe try bringing the legs closer together so you can lengthen up. This is Dandasana, staff pose, only the legs are out. Good. I like to bring my hands behind me because it broadens my chest. Dig your heels in, soft behind the knees, pull your leg bones in like you're drawing them in, and then you can lengthen out. Hands can be here, here. Some of you might be able to grab your big toes or the outer feet or the ankles. Pull it in. So nice stretch in the back of the hamstrings here, but the legs and the hips are doing a lot of strength work, grounding. Take a couple more breaths. Right. In yoga practice, change happens slowly. All right. You walk away from practice knowing and feeling that there's been a change. Can't really sometimes put your finger on it. It's hard to explain to people why yoga makes you feel so good. I think for me, it's connection. We're connecting the miraculous, health and strength and willingness of your body, the wisdom of your body. It's designed to move. It wants to be strong. It wants to be flexible. It craves it. And so when you bring all this goodness and this stretching and this bending and balancing and twisting and all these things, your body feels alive, and that just transfers to your mind. That's the whole connection. For me anyway. All right, everybody, come back in. Bend your knees slowly. Bring your legs in, and then very slowly roll down onto your backs into Apanasana. So this time you can roll down and pull your knees into your chest. I like to roll my knees around. It's like a little massage for your low back here. Any direction. You can have your knees open or closer together. What feels right for you? What feels delicious for your low back? And then keeping the knees together, just go ahead, bring both knees over to the right. You can take your right hand on top of the leg if you like, and then lengthen out from the heart to the left fingertips. My neck is sensitive, so I'm just going to look up. Some of you might be able to look towards your left hand. Let go. Feel this nice stretch on the left side of the hip, left outer hip. If you'd like to extend the legs, you can extend the legs as well. Close your eyes. Start to begin to let go now. Let go of all the wonderful effort that you've put into your practice, the concentration, the willingness. Take one more breath here. If your legs are straight, bend your knees. Bring your knees back to the center. Take a deep breath in at the center. As you exhale, allow your legs to descend to the second side. Again, whatever you did on the first side, repeat on the second side. So where we start to let go if you've been practicing Ujjayi breath or breath with sound. This is when we start to let go and we just allow the energy of your practice to infuse. So we're going to rest. You're going to rest within the energy of your practice. So take one more nice, deep, long breath here. Come back to the center. And then lengthen your legs long. I like to bring my heels to the outer corners of my mat and just let the feet and legs roll open. Look for symmetry in your back body here. So you're arranging your right and left leg and foot all feels equal. And then the hips are equal. There's not one side heavier than the other. Feeling your shoulders equally set on the mat, your arms equal distance away from your body with your palms rolled up. And then finding the center of your skull. Not allowing your head to drop to the right or the left, just center the skull. And then once you feel that symmetry in the back body, take a deep breath, fill up, and allow as you exhale the entire back body to just sink, to just soften. Draw another nice deep breath in through your nose, open your mouth, sigh out, and can you feel your back body, the bones, the skin, the muscles just sink and melt into your mat or whatever you're supported on. So you know you're so held here, you can just completely surrender any holding. This is called Shavasana, final resting pose. It's not a sleeping pose. It's a very relaxed way of noticing yourself relaxing, letting go, and just letting your body soak up and marinate your practice. It just comes into your tissues, into your psyche. Close your eyes. Begin to scan your body, and if there's any parts that habitually tend to hang on, whether it's shoulders, neck, jaw, eyes, hips, legs, wherever it is, see if you can let go there. Or identify the part of your body that is the most relaxed. And then invite the rest of your physical body to feel that same relaxation. So after a practice, trust that things have changed. Trust the change that's just happened. Thank your body for helping you. Thank the universe for what it's about to do. Thank your heart. And thank this moment. If you're able to stay here for a few more minutes, or as long as you're able, please do. If you need to attend to the rest of the day, take your time to find your way to your seat. Wherever you are, join your hands at your heart. You can either place them in prayer or place them on top of your heart. If they're in prayer, connect your thumbs to your heart, to your sternum. Thank you so much for sharing your practice today. I hope you have a beautiful day ahead. Again, please visit us at balancewebster.com. It will guide you to our YouTube channel. There's virtual classes there. We would love your support, $25. You can get such a variety of beautiful classes that you need. Take a deep breath in through your nose, open your mouth, sigh out. And until we meet again, Namaste.